Good evening, I'm Andrew Cheng.
And I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Tonight, vaccine mandates for healthcare workers hit a roadblock.
It's very frustrating. It's really the population that gets put at risk.
Quebec backtracks. Ontario says no, balancing patient safety with the health of the whole system.
An extra boost in COVID protection.
I'm really happy to be able to get it.
Who is eligible for another shot and when? Plus, we answer your questions.
Are booster shots even necessary?
Can I get sick from it?
Newfoundland's medical system grinds to a halt with no end in sight.
This is the single worst cyber attack in Canadian history.
And it could happen to other Canadian cities.
Plus, the emotional moment a kidnapped girl is found alive.
Yes, I can see Mommy and Daddy, okay?
How police cracked the case more than 2 weeks after the abduction. This is The National. Well, in the debate over vaccine mandates in this country, forcing healthcare workers to get the shot hasn't just been contentious, it's been really difficult to implement.
Officials weighing one risk against another, protecting patients and preventing outbreaks, or protecting a healthcare system already pushed to its limits. Well, today, the country's two biggest provinces announced they're just walking away from mandates, leaving thousands of unvaccinated healthcare workers on the job, many working directly with vulnerable patients. But both Quebec and Ontario say the risk of losing thousands of workers poses an even greater threat. Alison Northcott begins in Quebec tonight, where the province is abandoning a mandate it just weeks ago called non-negotiable.
As he showed up for his shift today in the ER, nurse Nathan Friedland was frustrated.
We're supposed to promote vaccination. We're supposed to promote safety of our patients, and healthcare workers who are not vaccinated at this point in time are not doing that.
The Quebec government is backing down on mandatory vaccinations for healthcare workers, opting instead for mandatory testing 3 times a week.
This is not negotiable, and we will be uncompromising for those who do not want to be tested. They will be suspended without pay.
97% of the province's healthcare workers have had at least one shot, but Quebec's health minister says the system just can't afford to lose those thousands of workers who haven't.
I think it was the only decision that was possible.
With the system already short-staffed, one healthcare workers union says suspending unvaccinated staff in some areas would have caused major disruptions.
I think that basically they came to the conclusion that to apply it could cause more damage than not to apply it.
Ontario made a similar calculation after seeing what other provinces were facing. It won't proceed with the vaccine mandate either.
The concern that we had that we would lose some of our precious health human resources compared to a relatively small number of outbreaks.
But the BC government is standing firm. More than 3,000 workers there are on unpaid leave, and some surgeries have been postponed. But in Quebec, intensive care specialist Dr. Joseph Dahine says the healthcare network is used to making adjustments, and plans were in place to reorganize.
At the end of all that effort, the government decides to just give up on that target. Is disheartening, to be quite frank.
Some healthcare workers are challenging the mandate in court. Their lawyer says she's pleased with this change.
It's a very big deal because they were actually facing a very difficult choice to make.
So, Alison, if current Quebec healthcare workers who are unvaccinated can keep their jobs, what happens to new hires?
Well, any new healthcare workers hired will have to be vaccinated. And one union says that it will also try to convince those unvaccinated workers to get their shots, even though it's no longer required for them to be able to keep working. Quebec Premier François Legault says it's hard for him to understand why someone in healthcare wouldn't want to get vaccinated, but he said the government is making a responsible decision because they need those workers.
All right, Alison Northcott in Montreal, thank you.
You're welcome.
More provinces are expanding their COVID-19 booster rollouts. In Ontario, millions of older adults will be eligible in the coming days. And as Ellen Morrow explains, booster shots could be available to everyone as early as January.
Fully vaccinated but over 70, Rosemary and Terry Miller are eager for the peace of mind a booster shot will bring.
face-to-face, you can see smiles. I'm doing a lot of these meetings by Zoom, and quite frankly, I'll be glad when Zoom is finished.
Starting Saturday, Ontarians aged 70 plus, healthcare workers and some essential caregivers, people who received 2 doses of AstraZeneca or 1 J&J shot, and First Nations, Inuit and Métis people and members of their household will be eligible to book a booster if they're 6 months past their second shot.
For some groups, 2 doses may not be enough to achieve a high level of protection, or immunity can decrease gradually over time.
Similar announcements today in Alberta and Manitoba.
We do have an ample supply of vaccine, and we want to protect older adults.
For all other Ontarians over 12, boosters could be available starting as soon as January. But that timeline may shift, says the province's top doctor.
The dose interval will only be put in play when we understand if there's waning or fading immunity at a population level, which we're not seeing just yet.
Some may not need a 3rd dose at all, say some doctors, at least not that soon.
It's still, I think, not clear whether people who are 30 or 35 actually need a 3rd dose of vaccine. Maybe they don't.
And still, much of the world remains completely unvaccinated.
If you take away from the highest risk groups, these vaccines should be going to other places so they can get their first doses. Oh, there it is.
For the Millers, in that high-risk group, a booster will mean a merrier Christmas. Last year, they celebrated with an outdoor dinner. This year,
we're going to be able to eat it in our house, enjoy each other's company, and we may have a few of our other extended family members over for dinner, too.
Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, as we hear about boosters from the provinces, we're also hearing some great questions from you.
Are booster shots even necessary?
Can I get sick from it? Is it safe?
Hey, we're going to put those concerns and questions to Dr. Zane Chagla a little later in the program.
The Pittsburgh Penguins announced 2 more of its players have tested positive for COVID, including star captain Sidney Crosby. This despite all active players being fully vaccinated. Jamie Strachan now on the breakthrough infections spreading in the NHL.
After sitting out the first month of the season with an injury, superstar Sidney Crosby played his first game this week. Now he's out again, part of a growing list of Pittsburgh Penguins sidelined by COVID.
I feel as an organization like we're trying to do everything we can to mitigate the risk. And yet we're still getting it.
Although all active players in the NHL are vaccinated, the Penguins are one of a number of teams who have been hammered by COVID.
I said to them last year, we can do all the right things and still get it. And that's the reality, I think, of the world we live in right now.
Defenseman Chris Letang is just returning after a severe bout of COVID.
You see a guy that was really, really careful, and he ends up getting it, and you have no idea how he did it.
Janssen tries a pass. Breakthrough infections among the fully vaccinated do happen. The question is, why so many cases in the NHL?
I suspect they're getting pretty heavy doses of exposure. I think that would be the best way to make sense of this.
And it is underway. Despite being fully vaccinated and in peak physical condition, NHL players are more susceptible than you might think. For one, they are rarely apart.
I would want to look at what is going on in locker rooms, what is going on in hotels, which are really not very COVID safe, what is going on in buses and airplanes where these teams are going. They spend a lot of time together.
Also, elite athletes like Crosby may be more prone to spreading COVID because they are elite athletes.
They're very good at inhaling and exhaling. Your lungs are extremely efficient, and so they're pumping air out among everybody else far more efficiently than other people.
Furness says the league needs to step up its rapid testing to detect cases before they spread throughout the locker room. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
And NFL star quarterback Aaron Rodgers also tested positive for COVID-19. In August, Rodgers told reporters he had been, quote, immunized. However, the NFL Network is reporting that he has not received a COVID-19 vaccine. He must now spend a minimum of 10 days away from the team.
Well, as many as a third of people who've recovered from COVID have had a lingering side effect, problems with things like memory and concentration. And researchers are finding those issues can stick around for an awfully long time. Vic Adopia shows us what we know about brain fog.
Since recovering from COVID-19 last year, Sonia Malley still suffers crushing fatigue and says her mind is trapped in a fog.
I'm a fraction of the person I was before.
Malley can't focus, struggles to remember, and has lost the creativity that inspired her art.
It's sort of like trying to trudge through neck-deep sludge, except mentally. You're tired, you're confused.
In New York, researchers studied a diverse group of recovered COVID patients with in-person cognitive tests, usually reserved for those who've had a stroke or concussion.
We did see cognitive impairment, which was in excess of what we would expect for this population, specifically, this fairly young cohort.
Almost 8 months after being treated for COVID, 23% still had problems with memory recall, 24% struggled with forming new memories, and 18% had impaired mental processing speed. Hospitalized patients were most likely to be affected. The results are similar to the experiences of patients who've spent a lot of time in intensive care before the pandemic.
Some studies have identified a subset that still has cognitive impairment over 5 years post-illness, but we just don't know that with COVID right now.
Scientists still can't identify the cause of brain fog, but autopsies reveal evidence of particles of the coronavirus, as well as damage similar to what's seen in strokes.
I think we're starting to get a sense of what the risks of each of those are and how much each are contributing, but I don't think it's going to be any one thing only.
No clear answer means no clear treatment.
Nobody knows what's going to happen to any of us. It's just kind of everyone's hanging on hope at this point.
And a life sidelined. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Now an update on a story we told you about last week. It is about that mysterious neurological illness that has left at least 48 people sick in New Brunswick. Now an investigation by the CBC's Fifth Estate has revealed one of the patients has a diagnosis that shows there's no mystery. And as Mark Kelly reports, this could cast doubt on the other cases.
This is Gabrielle Cormier 2 short years ago, enjoying the freedom of her passion. This is Gabrielle today. The 20-year-old's dreams of skating are now behind her as she struggles with a neurological disease that has left her in a wheelchair.
Today was not a great day. The pain was pretty bad today in my legs, and I'm just so tired and my brain is foggy.
Cormier is one of the youngest patients in a cluster of 48 people in New Brunswick identified as suffering from a mystery illness. 9 have died. Almost all the patients have been under the care of a Moncton neurologist, Dr. Alier Marrero, who believes all the cases are linked to an unknown neurological disorder. But doubt is setting in with Dr. Marrero's theory.
Public health had significant reason to question the validity of an unknown neurological illness.
Last week, the New Brunswick government released an update on its investigation into the illness, saying autopsies reveal 8 of the victims died from known causes.
We suggest that these 8 patients represent a group of misclassified clinical diagnoses.
Faced with his own doubts, Luc Leblanc, another patient in the cluster of 48, has come to Toronto for a second opinion at the Krembil Brain Institute.
I'm feeling nervous and anxious, but most importantly, I feel like I want answers of this mysterious disease.
Making a neurological diagnosis can be a challenge.
Luke is 41 years old. He's been living with the uncertainty of his undiagnosed illness, believing his condition could be fatal. But after 3 days of testing, a breakthrough. Doctors told Luke his condition is related to a concussion he suffered in a car crash.
It's overwhelming, but I have a huge pressure, off my shoulders.
Mark Kelly of the Fifth Estate joins us now. So, where on earth does this leave the other patients in the cluster?
Well, in short, still searching for clarity. Let's be clear, Adrian, just because one patient has a diagnosis doesn't mean all the others will get their diagnosis as quickly as Luke did. That's why their neurologist is saying right now that he wants to see experts from outside the province brought in to weigh on their cases before the government of New Brunswick declares that there is no mystery to this illness after all.
All right, Mark Kelly. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
The Fifth Estate's investigation, called The Cluster, airs tomorrow night on CBC television at 9 p.m. That's 9:30 in Newfoundland, or you can stream it on CBC Gem.
Well, after days of confusion and canceled appointments, today Newfoundland and Labrador confirmed its healthcare system has been the victim of a cyber attack. As Chris O'Neill Yates explains, the impact is big and there are still a lot of unanswered questions.
Thank you for joining us.
Finally, today, this admission.
We have been the victims of a cyber attack which has impacted our healthcare systems.
That confirmation comes after 5 days of problems that have seen health tests and treatments suddenly cancelled in much of the province. But today, officials wouldn't say much else about it.
It is important that we here now do not say or do anything that could jeopardize the rebuild and our attempts at mitigation.
Sources have told CBC News this is a ransomware attack where hackers encrypt a system and hold it hostage until they're paid. Cybersecurity experts say it's a growing global trend.
What they kind of do is cast a wide net. Whoever ends up clicking or downloading or getting impacted, they then go after them to say, okay, pay us money.
And our current work-from-home environment may make that easier.
Even if they're working on corporate devices that are locked down or using VPNs, they're still accessing what are basically home networks.
While anyone could be hit, the healthcare sector is especially vulnerable.
They know that hospitals will have to pay if they successfully execute their attacks because of the huge impact it has on everyday people.
In this case, the attack has pushed several health systems offline and canceled everything from x-rays to chemotherapy.
This is the single worst cyber attack in Canadian history.
In May, cyber attackers breached Ireland's National Health Service. It took months to restore the system. Government refused to pay tens of millions of dollars in ransom.
We don't want it to happen in other countries, so we really took a strong principle from the start that we wouldn't pay any money over.
In Newfoundland and Labrador, there's no word on how long the disruptions could last. It's still emergencies only at hospitals, putting healthcare on hold for many thousands of people. Chris O'Neill Yates, CBC News, St. John's.
An Indigenous man says he was viciously attacked by an Edmonton police officer. Pacey Dumas doesn't remember much about the night he was kicked in the head, but he is well aware of his constant pain and trauma. And now Dumas is suing. Janice Johnson has the story.
19-year-old Pacey Dumas copes with a serious head injury, allegedly caused by an Edmonton police officer's kick to his skull.
My head was just like hurting real bad, like a throbbing kind of pain.
The trouble began last December when police responded to a disturbance complaint. According to the province's police watchdog, officers were told there was a fight and that one person was armed with a knife. Pacey and his older brother were living nearby with their mother. They went outside to talk to the officers and ended up face down on the ground.
Well, those officers thought like he was trying to do something, I guess, and they just didn't hesitate and just kicked him in the head there.
I would be hard-pressed to understand what police training would ever advocate kicking someone in the head to get them under control when they're already lying on the ground.
Pacey had emergency surgery to relieve pressure from his swelling brain. Now he's waiting for more surgery. A metal plate must be inserted to protect his caved-in skull.
I didn't know why I had to go through this, with what they did to me.
His lawyer says race may have been a factor.
If they had not been Indigenous, if it had not been in a community that is perhaps underprivileged, I believe the police would have perhaps made better judgment calls as to the way they handled the situation.
The constable who allegedly delivered the kick remains on active duty, but no longer on the front lines. This criminologist thinks there should be more action.
It does not inspire confidence in the public. I believe that at the minimum, there should have been some sort of leave of absence.
Meanwhile, Pacey Dumas continues to live every day with the pain and trauma of missing a piece of his skull. Janice Johnson, CBC News, Edmonton.
The name of former Chicago Blackhawks video coach Brad Aldrich no longer appears on the Stanley Cup. The Blackhawks owner requested the removal of his name last week. after he was accused of sexually abusing a player, Kyle Beach, during the team's 2010 postseason run. The Hockey Hall of Fame confirmed his name is now covered by X's on the trophy.
A remarkable end to the case of a missing little girl that gripped Australia.
Are you okay? We're going to take you to see your mummy and daddy, okay?
Ahead tonight, how police tracked her down weeks after she vanished.
An inside look at Russia's largest ER, struggling to care for a wave of unvaccinated patients.
Hooked up to ventilators with COVID are some patients in their 20s and 30s.
And the changing face of children's entertainment.
It's honestly surreal. It's a dream come true.
The new Wiggle breaking boundaries and inspiring kids. We're back in 2. Welcome back. As we continue to bring you stories about our changing planet, the focus tonight at COP26 in Glasgow, finances. Any pledges to lower emissions will be costly. That's where the big banks come in. And as Chris Brown explains, a former Bank of Canada governor is leading the charge.
With the presidents and prime ministers gone, the bankers took over at the Glasgow summit, pledging to lead a low-emission global transformation.
And right here, right now, is where we draw the line. Right here, right now is where finance draws the line. Private finance draws the line.
The agreement brokered by Mark Carney, Canada's former central banker, taps into a potential $130 trillion in financial assets, a lot of zeros, from 450 institutions, including Canada's big 5 banks.
This is the issue now.
In an interview, Carney said rather than telling investors where to make specific investments, this is about transparency and accountability.
What's going to happen for RBC, JP Morgan, investors, BlackRock, investors around the world, is they're going to publish every year, these are the emissions of my clients, and this is my plan to get them down.
Can I ask you about Mark Carney's statement today about the global finance deal?
We caught up with U.S. climate czar John Kerry, who suggested the explicit support of the financial sector has been a missing ingredient.
And we're very excited about it. I'm extraordinarily excited. But it's super important. It's the only way we get where we need to go.
The target, which you see everywhere here, is to hold global warming to 1.5 degrees, meaning the world is now racing to find green tech that can lower emissions now to hit net zero, not in decades to come. The point underscored by the rep from tiny Antigua and Barbuda.
And we, in the small islands, need you. Your failure to work with us would have been a failure for mankind. We thank you.
What do we want? But activists who protested outside on the streets and inside right beside the main hall said there's nothing here stopping those financiers from continuing to bankroll dirty projects.
Yes to new money, but what about the old money that's going into fossil fuel projects today?
And there are other gaps. No banks from big emitters China or Russia signed up, and it's unclear how available all of that private capital will be to least developed countries who arguably need it the most. Chris Brown, CBC News, Glasgow.
U.S. President Joe Biden is rejecting suggestions he was to blame for his party's surprising loss in the Virginia governor's race.
He got 600,000 more votes than any Democrat ever has gotten. We brought out every Democrat about there was.
Democratic candidate Terry McAuliffe was upset by Republican newcomer Glenn Youngkin in a vote that was widely seen as a referendum on Biden's presidency.
Civil war began tearing through Ethiopia 1 year ago tonight. As well as thousands of deaths, the UN's human rights chief also says there has been extreme brutality, with an investigation blaming both sides in the battle. But as Sasha Petrusik shows us, Ethiopia's president wants to fight on.
For rebel Tigrayan fighters and their allies, the turnaround has been dramatic. After losing ground to Ethiopian military forces in Tigray a year ago, they've surged back, now even threatening to take the national capital, Addis Ababa. Government forces have launched strikes of their own in Tigray, leaving thick black smoke over cities and villages, houses in rubble, thousands dead. Today, a joint report by the United Nations Human Rights Office and Ethiopia's own Human Rights Commission accused both sides of war crimes, with the UN commissioner putting more blame on Ethiopia's military.
Numerous violations and abuses, including unlawful killings and extrajudicial executions, torture, sexual and gender-based violence.
Both sides deny the charges, but the fight has led to a humanitarian crisis with millions displaced and hundreds of thousands starving. Forced from home by advancing Tigrayan fighters, Habtam Akele lost her 3-year-old daughter Saba to malnutrition. Doctors tried to treat her, Akele says, but she died a week later. Other women at the camp tell of rape at the hands of Tigrayan fighters. Tigrayans blame the Ethiopian government for taking power in their region, one that had been largely autonomous from central rule. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is their target. In 2019, he won the Nobel Prize for making peace with neighboring Eritrea. But today, he vowed to crush Tigrayan forces. We will bury this enemy with our blood and bones, he says, as he told residents of Addis Ababa to prepare for a Tigrayan invasion. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
There is a stunning update tonight to a story that has gripped Australia. Nearly 3 weeks after a 4-year-old girl vanished from a campsite, setting off a massive search, she has been found alive.
Makta Gabrasalasa takes us through the incredible moment captured on camera and who police now have in custody.
This was the moment when 4-year-old Cleo Smith went from missing to finally found.
Are you okay? We're going to take you to see your mummy and daddy, okay?
Her rescue was captured on an officer's body camera.
What a great day.
A joyous moment that brought some officers to tears after a grueling search.
It's a wonderful day for this little girl and her loving family.
Cleo was allegedly kidnapped during a family camping trip in Western Australia nearly 3 weeks ago, grabbed from her tent in the middle of the night. A massive investigation got underway. $1 million was offered for any information, and the family continued to plead for her safe return.
Really all we need is a little go home.
That finally happened when police raided this home overnight. Inside, they found Cleo alone.
I said, "What's your name?" And she didn't answer, and I said, "What's your name?" She didn't answer again, so I asked her a third time, and then she looked at me and she said, "My name's Cleo."
Police say she is physically well and energetic, but questions remain about what happened to her over those 18 days. A 36-year-old man is in custody, and police say he is not known to the family. Rattled neighbors looked on today as investigators searched for evidence. Police say in the end, it was phone data and car movements that led them to the house.
It defies the odds, for sure.
Michelle Janis, who researches missing person cases, says this one is filled with rarities.
Just to be abducted by a stranger is profoundly rare, but that when that happens, it's usually a very, very dangerous time. So for me, it was miraculous that she was recovered alive and safe.
And now she's back in the arms of those who love her. Her mother posted this picture of her today online. The caption says, "Our family is whole again." Makta Gabrasalasa, CBC News, Washington.
Now, as more provinces open up, who is eligible for COVID booster shots? We wanted to hear your concerns.
I don't think the booster is an AstraZeneca, so I don't know about mixing them.
Are booster shots even necessary?
Dr. Chagla is next to help answer your booster questions. Hey, welcome back. So we heard today about Ontario's new plan to offer COVID booster shots to all people 12 and up over the next few months. The rollout would happen in stages, but in the meantime, we know lots of you have questions about boosters and when and whether you should get them. So we asked infectious diseases specialist Dr. Zain Chagla to join us to help answer some of those. Dr. Chagla, you ready to go?
I'm happy to.
All right, let's do it. This first question's from Anthony, and it's probably the one I've heard the most. Have a listen.
My name is Anthony Warner, and my question, are booster shots even necessary?
Nice, simple one to start. What do you think?
Yeah, so, I mean, it is nuanced, and I think there is likely a need for everyone to get a booster along the lines at some point. the Delta variant, particularly because it escapes immunity a bit more, the fact that, we do know antibody levels do wane over time. Yeah, there's going to be a point where people need a booster. The people that need it now, though, the ones that are being designated are the older people where, those breakthrough infections in 70-year-olds, most of them are still mild, but they're the highest represented group of ones that lead to hospitalization in ICU and obviously outcomes we want to avoid. Indigenous communities where they're at higher medical risk, but also in very remote settings where healthcare is fairly limited. And so, providing as much protection as possible. And again, healthcare workers where there may be a risk of exposure, although, even that group could be delayed a little bit more considering the context. So, I think there is a now need for booster shots in certain groups. There's a coming need for the next few months for people that are more transmission and safety in particular settings. But I wouldn't be surprised if everyone has to take a shot at some point, recognizing that, at some point antibody levels are going to wean. And again, more protection is going to be needed for us to keep up.
Right, because along those lines, I do wonder, today, the standard by which many people evaluate risk is whether the people they are around are vaccinated. And I can't help but wonder, is the standard approaching, have you been boosted? You know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I think to go back, the disease is fundamentally different now in November of 2021 than 2020. With more populations vaccinated, there is a limitation for spread amongst people. It's not perfect, but there is some limitation of spread. We know that unvaccinated people overrepresent cases as compared to vaccinated people. So, there is time, and there are groups where their vaccines are working just as well as they should, where the risk of having a breakthrough infection is low, the risk of having complications is low. A young 20-year-old without any medical conditions is probably fine to wait 6 months, a year, even longer to get their next dose. So, again, this is more optimization of higher risk groups. And then, slowly rolling it out to the population as we start seeing other groups identified that are at higher risk.
Okay, this next question is from Evan.
Hi there, my name is Emmett Young, and I was just curious, is the third booster shot too much? Like, can I get sick from it? Is it safe?
Can you overdose on the vaccine or boosters, as it were?
So the vaccines last a very short amount of time in the system. What we are seeing, though, with boosters is, as people got their second shot, predominantly they got, more of those mild side effects, fever, feeling a bit lethargic, being off for a day, signs that the immune system is working. So giving a third shot when your immune system is already primed, well, yeah, there is a likelihood you're going to see some of those symptoms again. It doesn't mean that they're dangerous. People may need a day or two off work. And as we do booster campaigns, that's going to have to be part of our thinking about workers that are getting their third dose. But generally, again, the experience from Israel, the experience being shown through Moderna and Pfizer through the clinical trials, the real life experience in the United States now, all of which are seeming like outside of those risks, we're not seeing many new side effects from boosters and, generally as safe as shot 1 and 2.
Can I ask a really quick follow-up? Would there be any reason not to get a booster from a health standpoint?
Yeah, so we're using mRNA as boosters. If you had a history of myocarditis or pericarditis on the second dose, which it's more common to see, especially in young men, then a booster would be contraindicated because we could likely see that reaction happen to the third dose. People who had a major anaphylactic reaction to the second dose, should be seen by an allergist in order to evaluate whether or not they could get a third dose. But for the most part, again, the populations that were able to tolerate a second dose appropriately should be able to get a third dose without any hesitations.
Okay, we've got time for one more question. This is from Joanne.
I'm in the right age category, and I am hesitant to get the booster, not because I don't trust it. I took AstraZeneca, and I don't think the booster is an AstraZeneca. So I don't know about mixing them.
What do you think?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, absolutely, our boosters are going to be mRNA vaccines based on the fact that the efficacy seems a bit higher, plus our supply is here, plus a lower risk of clotting reactions that we saw with AstraZeneca. We have a lot of experience now, months and months of experience giving AstraZeneca and a follow-up dose of an mRNA vaccine. This is the standard in Canada for people that got a vector vaccine in Europe and other places in the world. And so, it's been shown to be safe. It's shown to be really effective for those populations who had mixed. And so there shouldn't be any hesitation to get a third dose of an mRNA vaccine.
Dr. Chagla, this has been excellent, as usual. Thank you so much.
No problem. All the best.
No doubt there'll be more questions. But next, an inside look at how the unvaccinated are filling one of Russia's biggest ERs.
On all of the doors list the names and ages of the patients.
The push to tell the whole story of the unfolding COVID crisis after the break. Welcome back. Russia's daily COVID death toll has hit a new record high. Nearly 1,200 people succumbed to the disease on Wednesday, but some experts say that number is a dramatic underestimate. As hospitals are overwhelmed with patients, CBC News got rare access to the country's largest emergency department. Briar Stewart takes us inside.
The patients on all of these beds and in all of these rooms share a dangerous combination: unvaccinated and severely ill with COVID-19. They are part of a deluge straining a healthcare system grappling with this country's deadliest COVID wave. They're patients at Moscow's Sklifosovsky Hospital. It was built in 1810 and today has the country's largest emergency department. As doctors and nurses arrived for their morning shift, we were invited along, which meant suiting up in several protective layers, including a gown, goggles, and 2 sets of gloves. Leading the team, the hospital's director, Dr. Sergei Petrikov, who says COVID has him on call 24 hours a day.
Now we have 100 patients on 98 beds.
And all of them are cordoned off in the red zone of the hospital.
Our work is to treat people, and it doesn't mention they're vaccinated or not vaccinated.
As the large medical team reviews the images and charts, they're able to speak with some of the patients, but others are in medically induced comas.
On all of the doors list the names and ages of the patients, and in some of these rooms in the ICU hooked up to ventilators with COVID are some patients in their 20s and 30s.
But the majority are elderly, and like 74-year-old Lydia Garilova, regret not getting the vaccine.
Господи, ничего страшного. Сижу дома, ничто ко мне не прилепится. Все будет нормально.
But now many are on ventilators and even ECMO machines, a last resort of life support. Dr. Yevgeny Rybov is an administrator in the COVID department here.
Это страшно глядеть в глаза родственникам. Я бы не хотел на эту тему говорить, потому что это очень тяжело, именно потерять близких людей. Это очень тяжело, понимаете? Тяжелее этого ничего, наверное, нет.
According to official statistics, around 1,100 people died of COVID every day in Russia over the past week, but the government has been accused of distorting the numbers. At this hospital south of Moscow, there are reports that not all COVID deaths are being counted, and some believe the true toll of the virus is much higher.
I project that for October, that will be almost 100K excess deaths, and for November, 120, 140K excess deaths.
Alexei Raksha used to work for the state statistics agency but was forced to resign in 2020 after voicing concern about how COVID deaths were being counted. He believes if Russia gave a clear picture of how many are dying, it might change behavior.
I think that maybe more people got vaccinated, the more people take this virus more seriously and make some precautions measures.
Back in the hospital, since the beginning of the pandemic, officials had to bring in 300 medical students just to cope. The relentless pace is draining for the staff, who despite the PPE, still find ways to support each other through it all. After the morning rounds, the hospital director told us that some of the staff went to a memorial for a former colleague who died of COVID.
Это самое тяжелое, когда ты хоронишь людей, которых ты хорошо знаешь.
Earlier in the ward, Petrikov told one man that the evil was starting to leave his body because the patient was breathing more easily. But when it comes to the COVID crisis, he thinks the only real way out is through vaccines, and there doesn't appear to be much light at the end of that tunnel. 60% of Russians don't have a single shot. With a partial lockdown set to expire Sunday in the city, this hospital ward won't see much relief anytime soon. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Moscow.
Well, healthcare workers in Alberta are sharing their stories from the front lines in an emotional new music video.
Some of the hardest days are the days that I have the patients that are begging me not to bring them into the ICU. Isn't there something else?
Later, we're going to hear from the ER doctors behind this project, taking a moment to process the emotional toll of the pandemic. Welcome back. If you've had a young child in your home, or even if you haven't, you may be familiar with the Wiggles. They are a hugely successful children's music group that recently welcomed new members. And Eli Glasner explains why one of them is already breaking barriers.
She can change up her hairstyle.
Whether it's dolls or TV shows, Kayla Lewis is always on the hunt for characters that look like her family. Although it's tough.
100%. Most of the kids shows, if there are diverse characters, they're typically secondary characters. And I can also tell you it's even more of a challenge finding shows that have black boys that are leads.
Her son Miles was a big Wiggles fan, but they cut him off.
Just with the fact that there really was no diversity in the main cast, and we just didn't think that reflected the times and our reality.
Now, in an effort to better represent their viewers, the Wiggles family is growing.
It's honestly surreal. It's a dream come true.
TSEHAY.
Sahai Hawkins is one of 4 new members. As the first official Wiggle woman of color, she's already making a difference.
I've seen photos of little girls already dressing up with their little mini afro puffs, and it makes me so happy.
I knew that there were no characters who looked like me, who had my skin color or my hair texture.
A big difference from what shows looked like for this media researcher growing up. But she says the face of children's programming is changing.
We found 49% of characters were from BIPOC communities. And even though that's better than where we were a few years ago, and it's something to celebrate, we still find that certain identities are underrepresented. We found that Middle Eastern characters, South Asian characters, and Indigenous characters were almost nowhere to be found.
Back at the Lewises, the new Wiggle passed the test for Miles.
I like it.
And Mom.
She'll probably just inspire a lot of kids that will turn on the TV and see somebody that looks like them.
A reflection of progress in the shows kids consume. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Next, a look into the pandemic world. 2 Calgary doctors show us through their lens and their lyrics.
Take me back to rainy days that I know and I can recognize.
The moving video now opening the conversation about the emotional toll of the pandemic.
I'm kinda hollow now. Ways we replay through these days.
So this video is called Wait For Me. It's a pretty raw look at this pandemic from the front lines, not only featuring healthcare workers, but made by them too. So the musician and the photographer behind it are also both emergency room doctors. The video, their way of bringing the rest of us into that world and opening up a conversation about mental health. And tonight, it's our moment.
In medicine, we have a culture where prior to the pandemic, it was rare to talk about how we were doing, what we were experiencing inside of the hospital. And now that there's much more exhaustion and burnout than we've ever faced before, people have become more open about their experiences. A lot of healthcare workers have also mentioned that this is an insight into what it feels like to be part of the pandemic, something that most people haven't had the opportunity to understand.
Like the way I lost myself right there, and then you follow.
We've gone from people banging pots and pans and celebrating healthcare workers going to work to those same healthcare workers having to bypass, protesters right on the way into the hospital. Part of the project is just showing, hey, we're human, we're doing the best we can.
And so it's worth, noting and sort of underlining that the people who are in that music video are people that Heather and Grant have met personally, and so their moments and their stories carry real weight for them.
And what's deceptively important about a video like that is how many people keep reaching out to Heather and Grant. You know, families, patients, healthcare workers, everybody needs to talk about this. That is the National for November the 3rd. Good night.
Good night.